thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Hi, did you all enjoy the show? Excellent. Well, we enjoyed performing for you, and we'd like to take a quick moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Jesse McLean. This is Susie Crocker, and we have a third member of our team who you don't see because she stands behind this great big screen here and all these curtains. And she's calling all the lights and all the music cues that you hear, as well as helping us with the puppets backstage. She's our stage manager, and her name is Sky Perry. Everyone say hi, Sky! Hi, Sky! So we are Mermaid Theatre of Nova Scotia, and we're here in Washington all the way from Windsor, Nova Scotia, Canada. Nova Scotia is a small province on the eastern part of Canada, right on the Atlantic Ocean.
Frederick is a rod puppet show, so all the puppets either have rods,
like this guy right here.
One right here, rods on top of him. So he gets animated like this. Or there's other puppets that have rods, but they're on the bottom. So these ones, they hop.
And here's a good example of the mess of mice that we have.
Yeah, it's pretty messy.
So these are some of our many, many mice. I think we have about 40 mice. So there's mice that have straw and berries, and there's mice that have corn. And again, we all have in our head, we know in our head that which mouse is which. And these door handles are screwed in the back, and we just hold on to them. And you can't see them from the front. So it just looks like the mice are sort of floating around, or walking around, sorry.
Yes, walking.
Mice don't float. Maybe in the future they do, but designer would work with the originating puppeteers to sort of figure out what the best use of the space on the puppet is. For example, on the rods, you see that if I hold this rod up straight like this, then his feet are more or less straight, whereas if I held it like this,
or what I used to do,
thing.
This was fun. I would hold it here and then go to turn it and whack my knuckle. Like scars all over my hands for about 2 weeks. That was fun.
So definitely, it's a process. It's a collaboration between the designer, the director, and the puppeteers as to, how am I going to be able to hold this properly to make it look good. And believe it or not, it's Susie and myself that performs Swimmy, and I actually perform the Swimmy puppet. But the reason why you don't see us is because we're standing behind this great big screen right here. And so maybe to demonstrate the screen a little bit better, I'll go get Swimmy, and we can show you exactly how it works.
Okay, Jesse will go get Swimmy for us, who's backstage right now. I think he's having a bit of a nap after the big show. And when he comes out here, you'll see, just like in the show Swimmy, he's a very, very small puppet, and he's made out of something called corrugated board. I think he's on his way. Hi, Swimmy. So corrugated board is really just like a thick piece of paper, and he's cut out of that and covered in black tape. He's attached to two little poles here and this wooden base on the bottom. Can you all see that? Great. Well, that is how Jesse moves Swimmy. If he moves the front part, it nods his head. And if he moves the back part, it moves his tail so that they can swim in the show. But the other very important thing that helps them swim is, wait for it, this. And this is like the bottom part of a rolling office chair, or what we like to call a gigantic circular skateboard. So they're going to give us a little demonstration as to how they actually swim during the show. Just like that. It looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? You know what? It is a lot of fun. I have one of these skateboards too, so we're actually back there doing the show for you, having a blast. Now, excuse me for just one moment. Swimmy, do you want to do your magic trick today? You do, okay. Swimmy has a magic trick that he sometimes likes to do. Would you like to see it? Oh, you would? Okay, great. They are going to go in behind this screen here. And you can't see it from where you're sitting, but on the other side of the screen is something called a projector. That's pretty much like a gigantic flashlight. It shoots light onto the screen. So when anything comes between the light and the screen, it casts a shadow. Hello. That's exactly what we're seeing right now, of course. We can see the shadow of Jesse. He's right there. And the shadow of Swimmy, who's right there. Now, believe it or not, they are actually very close to us right now. They're just on the other side of this screen here. So they are their regular size. But if they were to move closer to our light, what do you think would happen to them? They get smaller? They get bigger? Hearing a little bit of both. So let's just see. Looks like he's starting to get bigger and bigger and huge. Swimmy? Whoa! Swimmy? Swimmy? Whoa! 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 Come back! Okay. And he's back to his regular size once again. Thank you very much for the magic trick, Swimmy. Thank you, Jesse. So, these are the skateboards, which is what we're sitting on for...
So this is J for Jesse.
We have a lot of time on our hands.
So skateboard, kind of like the bottom of a rolling office chair. And this is how we operate a lot of the fish in Swimmy. So you would sit on it like this, and the screen is right here, and then all of the puppets happen above this line right here. So
for example, they're swimming, they're turning, they're swimming, they're turning, they're swimming. So you use your feet kind of like brakes, which is fun. And this is our cheat line. If your hands or your head or any part of your body goes above this white line right here, they can see it. Likewise, if a puppet dips below it, they can't see it anymore. So,
really a good sit-up workout. I'm kind of about here most of the time, and because I have a big head, I have to be a little bit.
For a lot of the show, I'm like this.
Yeah, because we do. There's a front, like the front of here. There's a green silk ground row that's in front of here. So, like I said, anything that's below here you can't see. Anything above here you can't see. The majority of the stuff is on wheels. Most of the stuff you see in Swimmy happens on wheels because it gives it that really smooth underwater quality. The playboards are on wheels. The trees from Frederick and the rock, the big rock, they're on wheels. And I'm trying to think of anything else. But yeah, a lot of the stuff for Swimmy definitely is on wheels. We'll show you a couple of these fish, in particular the redfish, because that will tell you about how we made a lot of these puppets. So remember Susie was telling you about this great big screen, right? Well, all of these fish are actually, what you're seeing is actually the shadows of the puppet. And the redfish are a lot like some of the other puppets because they're made out of plexiglass, like the jellyfish, the eel. What else? The sea anemone is also made out of plexiglass. So you can see this is a very beautiful and very fragile puppet. And plexiglass is a really thick type of plastic. And all of these little fish actually are painted right on there with a Sharpie marker. And there's a little tent pole right there that's taped, and Susie holds on to that. And actually Swimmy right on this puppet is actually taped right there with black tape onto that puppet. And can everybody see Susie and me? Hi. Well, you can see us because this plexiglass is clear, but the shadow that you're seeing on the screen is of the red fish, and that's because the light shoots through the puppet and onto the screen. So how about Susie goes behind the screen and we see a little demonstration of what we mean. And if we can get the lights down on stage, excellent. All right. So now we have the shadow of Susie. And the shadow of the red fish. And Swimmy. All right. And, oh, where did she go? Well, this is another trick, and this is another trick that we show you about how we make these fish swim. Now you can see the shadow of the red fish, but you can't see Sue's. So how about if I lift up this little piece of green? Everybody wave to her. And that's where we actually hide on those skateboards when we're doing Swimmy, so you can't actually see us. All right. Thank you very much, Suze. And maybe one more time before you go away, we'll see the red fish's magic trick. Would everybody like to see how big the red fish could get? Yeah, okay. I thought you would. All right. It's very similar to Swimmy's magic trick. They're not very inventive, but that's a lot of big red fish right there. Those are the biggest red fish I've ever seen. Whoa, they're huge. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, and they're back to their normal size. Once again, thank you very much, Suze. Thank you, Redfish. All right. Thank you. That was a great magic trick.
The inch-by-inch one are hands-on puppets, so they're enormous puppets. Well, some of them are big, some of them are small, and it's more object manipulation, so we're right behind them.
So, for example, this is one of the puppets from Inch by Inch, and this is the toucan puppet. And I'm going to pick him up and show you. This is object puppets. What we were talking about, how you decide where you put the handles, basically is sort of a decision that I would have to make with the designer, so that I can hold him up properly, so that it doesn't hurt me as well, you know, because it is very heavy and it's sort of hard on the shoulders. But the original puppeteer was shorter than I was. The handles were a lot smaller because his hands were actually smaller too. And so we've had to like open up this area here so that I can get my hands in there. We've had to give me a bit more room so that I can hold the puppet up higher because I'm taller.
And this puppet is made out of silk, so it's shiny, and it's been hand painted. And a lot of the big puppets are made out of foam that's been carved out. So if you look really closely at this one, you can kind of see some bumps and stuff. That's where the carves were, and so he's squishy all the way through.
Let's play a little Mermaid Trivia. You saw in the show that Frederick had 4 friends, right? So that makes 5 mice, right? But how many of you think that there were only 5 mice puppets in the show, Frederick? Put your hands up if you think that we only have 5 mice puppets. Not too many of you. A couple of the bigger kids do, but we actually have more than that. Put your hands up if you think that we have more than 10 mice puppets in the show, Frederick. A lot of you do. Okay. Well, we actually have more than that. Put your hands up if you think that we have more than 25 mice puppets in the show, Frederick. That's a lot of mice puppets, are you sure? Yeah? Well, you're right if you have your hand up, because we actually have 40 mice puppets in the show, Frederick. That's right. And we travel all over America in a little white van with a real mouse problem. And so Susie has brought us out one of the mice, and this is actually one of the Frederick puppets to show you how the mice move. And actually all the mice are made out of corrugated board, which is like a really thick paper, and they're covered in felt, so they're soft and they're fuzzy. And on the bottom of this particular mouse, there's a little square wooden base that's covered with felt as well, and that's how Frederick and some of the mice stand up all by themselves on the playboard. At the very top, right here, there's a little piece of wood, a little pole that Susie holds onto so she can move Frederick all over the place. She can make Frederick walk. She can make Frederick jump. She can make Frederick spin around. And she can make Frederick dance. Would you like to see Frederick dance? All right, here we go, Frederick. Nice dance moves. And I think Susie's brought us out one more mouse to show you. Did some of you in the story notice that his friends had eyes that opened and closed? Yeah? Okay. Well, if you look really closely, you can see this mouse's eyes opening and closing and opening and closing and opening. And the trick is that we've painted his little mouse eyelids right here on this piece of wood, and it's attached to a little coat hanger wire, just like the wire that Swimmy was standing on. And there's a little space right at the very top of his little mouse head in that corrugated board for this piece of wood to go in. So if Susie pushes down on the wire, it closes his eyes. She pulls up, it opens, and close, and open, and close, and he falls asleep. Wow. Yeah. So you can imagine, with 40 mice puppets and Susie, the snoring problem that we have to live with every day.
So the curtains and the screen and all the puppets and the plexiglass and 3 of us.
And their luggage.
And 3 months worth of luggage.
It's like it would be like a 15-passenger van, like a cargo van.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing that, speaking of the designer working with all of the material, they have to figure out how to pack everything so that it all packs in. And you can see this is a huge set, and it's very much filled to the very brim. Our van, every time we actually sometimes have to like really push hard
It's like
to get the
Tetris.
doors closed. Yeah. So that's another real big challenge as to how to get a touring show of this size into that little van, with enough room too for the people that actually have to drive it around to be comfortable for 3 to 9 months. We become part of the crew essentially when we show up at a theater. We help them load in. Usually there's a lot of technicians, like at this space for sure. We had a great crew, and they help us set stuff up, and we sort of run the setup. Our stage manager runs the setup, and we sort of are the feet on the ground type of thing. So yeah, so we're very involved in sort of every aspect of it. But once we get it onto the road, we're involved in repairs of puppets if they ever break.
Which they do.
Which they do, yeah, absolutely. We're involved in van maintenance and all that kind of stuff.